Hello everyone, this is Roger Ray with Native UFO. I'm here by one of our favorite places to look for craft, and I'm with a friend, Vicky.
Hello everyone.
So we just had some delightful soup that Vicky brought over, and we thought we'd just do a little chat about locally what goes on here. What comes to mind for you?
Well, what comes to mind is we're here on the reservation, so we're surrounded by our native people, and talking about Bigfoot or star people is just nothing new to them. They are totally aware and they're totally accepting of those ideas, and a lot of them have had interactions when they were, out in the woods collecting firewood or camping out or at their own cabins in the woods. They've had interactions. So
Interesting. Do for the most part, do they seem like a benevolent contact, or?
It depends on who you talk to. I've had some of my native friends, acquaintances, have come and said, don't go in that certain area, something killed our sheep and we think it's Bigfoot, and that'll be dangerous. And then other people say, oh no, they come right up to our cabin and we communicate telepathically and they're friendly, and so I guess it's just like out in the white world, the different people have different experiences.
Yeah, maybe it has to do with their own, maybe even blood lineage or their attitude. Or,
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And then, I think that's the big change that we're in, is that in the Western mind, we've been taught to think about exact measurement and the particle and mass and how it's shaped and how we can manipulate it. But what's coming and what's here, with the veil, I believe, is being drawn, is that it's about consciousness.
Exactly.
Consciousness is the fundamental layer of all material creation.
Exactly.
Through the quantum field.
Right.
So how do you quantify consciousness?
No. Yeah.
How do you use Newtonian physics to quantify consciousness? I don't know how how you can do that. But that is one of the reasons why I'm so fascinated by the ET experience, because that's what you're seeing. You're seeing group consciousness. You're seeing them telepathically communicating with the ship, telepathically communicating with human beings. And so it really demands just a whole new perspective of what reality really is.
Right.
And understanding that our biologic body is a vessel, that our soul essence comes in and experiences this 3D reality.
Right.
But then we move on. So, the questions then come, why are we here?
Yeah.
What is the purpose of our existence?
Yeah.
Do you have any comment on
that? How long do you have? First, I have to tell you a cute story. I was married in Texas to a guy who just loved to watch, basketball and football and all that kind of stuff. And one night, in total frustration, I said, I want to watch something. I want to watch. And so we turned the channel, and there was a gentleman whose name, of course, escapes me right now, but everybody knows who he is. But he's from India, and he was expounding on this very thing, that we're atoms, and then we're molecules, and we're atoms, and then we're quarks and whatever, and finally we just get down to, light and whatever frequencies. And so after a half hour of him explaining that and how that makes our, what we perceive as 3D bodies, available for our spirit to be here. Because if we were solid, I don't know exactly if that would block the spirit, but we're not solid.
We're not solid.
So, and at the end of that half hour, I said, well, what'd you think of that? Wasn't that cool? And he goes, oh, what he's saying is we're made of nothing. And I said, "That's what you got out of it." So he turned his football back on, and I left. Literally left,
Yeah.
divorced, and out of town.
Right. Well, one of my main mentors, there's like 5 of them. I've never met them. I'm dying to meet them. One is Nassim Haramein. And, he starts his lectures. He says, 99.99% what's out there is energy.
Yes.
We perceive it as empty space.
Oh, yeah.
But the vast differences, even between the solar systems, even between like one galaxy can actually be passing through another, and with no collisions.
Yeah.
That's how massive distances are.
And that's what's going to happen to our solar system. The Milky Way is going to pass through Andromeda.
Andromeda, it's doing that now.
Yeah.
So we're surrounded by evidence that there's just basically just energy. We're just another form of energy with the illusion of us being solid. And so then you have this Western mindset that says, well, if I can't measure it, I can't repeat it, it doesn't exist.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry. We just don't have the knowledge and the instrumentation to measure the frequencies of energies of other realities.
Right.
So we can't be so arrogant.
And that's what I think about the meteor that's coming through our solar system right now, 3I Atlas.
Right.
They can't measure it. They can't figure out why it's green, because all the spectrographs are saying, no, there's no component of this thing that should put off a green glow. Well, hello, it's from a different galaxy or a different solar system. And so why should we know it?
Right.
We can only deal with what we have here.
Right. It's traveling at an incredible speed.
Yeah.
Initially, it was throwing off a cone of energy to the sun, which was
right.
I believe was not ever known for that, because it's defying basic gravitational laws.
Right.
So there are things from, I don't know, do you recall 2017, the object Oumuamua? Yes. So Avi Loeb, the Harvard physicist, wrote a book and basically was making, as an astrophysicist, was possibly making the argument that it was an ancient mothership.
An ancient one.
Ancient mothership. So what happened around the same time, December 17th, 2017, is when an alien ship landed in front of myself and a friend of mine, actually very close to here.
Wow, cool.
And we got bombarded by a frequency that still today I equate to some kind of downloading of some type. Anyway, so what started happening, co-workers at where I work started coming to me here on the reservation and saying, I've been abducted.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, so I would go in-depth interviews, and I've got a lot of that information, and this is why I'm coming out now, is to release all this information. But he was not a UFO guy, was not into all the speculations or anything. And he said on his 3rd abduction, they took him aboard a ship, and they were going to show him Adam and Eve.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay, so I'm totally enthralled in the story, right? So he said he went aboard a ship. It was massive. Took him to a special room, and there were giant aquariums there, just massive aquariums, like big enough for a whale, but with glass fronts, like you would see at a park. Anyway, what he saw were live, floating aquatic humans.
Oh, cool.
With like giant structures coming out of their head, webbed feet, and they were looking at him. Okay, now there is a gentleman by the name of Corey Good. He's well known in the UFO world.
Yeah.
He was supposedly part of the SSP program. And right after my experience in 2017, I was listening to him, and he says, well, the SSP sent a craft to Oumuamua. And it was somewhat difficult because it was rotating.
Right.
So it had to match the rotation in order for
now that's just general knowledge. Everybody knows that, right?
No,
I thought,
hardly anybody knows about the
wasn't there
sinkers.
one that they actually landed?
No.
That was not a. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. That was a different one.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the story of the SSP is just now, secret space program is just now coming out. Anyway, so he said that the SSP went aboard Oumuamua, and it just had this ancient feeling about it. Like the interior looked like somewhat of a spaceship.
Yeah.
And they were cruising through, and they found these drawer-like structures that you would see like maybe at a mortuary.
Yeah.
Right? So they opened it up, and there were remnants of aquatic human beings.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The exact same description
Yeah.
that this local friend of mine who had been abducted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, that's, you know, it really lends to that about our lineage coming from, you know, underwater.
Yeah.
And maybe not from this planet.
Yeah.
But if I recall correctly, you know, in the...
Oh, I don't think it's from this planet at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, we're as much aliens or visitors here than anybody else.
Yeah, colonizers.
Yeah.
That's a bad word nowadays, but that's what we are.
But I'm trying to recall, you know, during the fetus development, we have gills that come and go.
Right.
Right.
Right. And the original, like, you know, small embryo has a shape of other aquatic animals that we know of, you know.
Right, right.
And I just watched a program on TV that talked about when whales walked on the land, and they have found the, you know, the remains, the dinosaur bones of these whale-like beings with feet, and they were able to walk on the land, and then they evolved back into the water.
Wow.
Instead of coming out
Instead
of
of coming out of the
water.
water. Yeah. Yeah, well, because of my ultrasound background, whales are of great interest to me because of how they emanate frequencies and communicate with each other over thousands of miles.
Yeah, isn't that spectacular?
And, you know, I have a place down in Baja, and occasionally a dead whale would beach itself, and then the locals, including some of my friends I live with, they would take parts of the skull and, you know, use them as kind of an ornament. But the nasal septum of a whale is 10 feet tall.
Oh, this part. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And so the skull and this nasal septum is used to create the vibrational frequencies for communication.
Wow.
So when I look at it as an ultrasound tech, I said, that's the largest probe I've ever seen. So,
holy cow, yeah.
Yeah,
and their whole breathing apparatus is made for land, basically. You know, they still breathe air. They're still mammals.
Right.
They still suckle their young. It's just amazing that they're still not walking, you know, around on land. Yeah.
Right, and then I didn't really realize this, but more on the East Coast, because where I'm at in the Sea of Cortez, near the very northern end, is 1/3 of the whales in the world breed there.
Wow.
Because it's still somewhat unpolluted.
Yeah.
And safe. But on the eastern side of the eastern coast, there was recently whales that were either killed or found, and they had a harpoon stuck in them from the 1800s.
Oh my word.
They lived 300 years.
Oh my God, that is unbelievable.
Can you imagine?
No, I had
did you
no
know
idea.
that?
I did not.
That they lived hundreds of years.
Wow.
And, you know, go to these fantastic depths. Because I think that's another thing that will come out. There are now underwater cities under dome-like structures right now, and with underground, what are called maglev train systems, connecting them to the mainland. and all that has already been engineered and is in place.
Yeah.
I mean, 70% of the Earth's surface is water.
Yeah.
It's a great place to hide,
Yeah.
right? Or just have another civilization.
Right, or a base for
A base, you
Yeah,
know, for extraterrestrial,
Right.
you know, dwelling and all that.
Yep.
So,
You know, it's interesting. I have no physical proof, to me personally, of so much of this, but it feels so right to me. I've believed it since I first heard it. You know, it's I've had some spiritual experiences, not explainable by, you know, physics and all that kind of stuff, but all the stuff about UFOs and things has, up until you showed me them on infrared right over here. I had never seen any, you know, but it just, to me, it just makes sense. First, you know, I was raised a Christian, then I became a Mormon, and then then, you know, the Mormons were so determined that they were the only true church, and then I watched that movie Zeitgeist. Do you remember that?
I remember the name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about 20 years ago, and it just goes around the world and shows how many different belief systems there are, and, you know, things like that. It even takes the story of Jesus and takes it back. Well, you know, 2,000 years before Jesus, there was a man who had 12. He supposedly was an immaculate birth and had 12 apostles and all this kind of stuff, and that story, you know, has carried down through the ages as well. That's from a Sumerian background,
Right,
and
right.
not a you know, Judeo or Hebrew background. So it just, I thought, well, Christianity then can't be the only thing. So then I spread my, you know, belief system out to, you know, that there's spirit and there's people, and we're all part of that same thing with just different ways of showing it. And then that took me right into outer space.
Right.
That there would be beings there, because
Yeah, well, you know, we lack the fundamental knowledge and even the nomenclature to talk about quantum physics and it's real. You know, we use spirit, which is, you know, what is that? Is that a vibration of our soul that we have not quantified?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're very lacking in through the eyes of the Western man. So yeah, I see a value for it, obviously. But even you can say, okay, well, Newtonian physics is why we have so many, you know, gadgets these days. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no. What about the Roswell crash?
Yeah.
And all the possible technology.
No, baby, you cannot have
that we. She's getting harassed by the sweetness.
By a hornet. Yeah.
So, I don't think you can even make a strong argument about that.
Yeah.
That the technology, fiber optics, IC chips, could have been gotten from aliens.
You're right. Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. Now, here is a kind of an awakening thought for me. Why would a ship that's been able to cross the galaxies, you know, suddenly crash in our tiny little planet? And I think they were volunteers. I think they were
that's a very good
suicidal volunteers that said, here's a way we can give them our technology.
Right.
And we'll just crash in there and see how they treat us. And, you know, we know how they treated them. But, and let them, you know, learn for themselves how things worked.
Right. That's a very good point, because they did it in such a way, because I think they've done it in the past.
Yeah. Oh,
and what happened is they were glorified and made godlike because of their technology, and that's not what they want.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, at least the ones that are trying to help us and guide us.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ones like the reptilians who are just trying to mind control us.
Yeah.
But
and doing a good job.
Yeah, because I see us, you know, the analogy I draw is like you're watching like a famous boxing match, okay? You're in the crowd. Well, the Orion reptilians, who are, all I can say is, are evil, are in the crowd, and they're pulling our strings. They're making us fight each other. And so they get actually a kind of nutrition
Yeah.
from the negative emotions that we display towards one another. It's a kind of food.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's part of my mission, is like, okay, you guys, wake up, look in the crowd and see who's controlling us, and they're the ones that we need to eliminate from our reality, not each other.
Right.
We're
right.
not the enemy
Right.
of each other. You know, I try not to at all get political in the UFO thing, but you'll see what's coming is we have to become unified as a species in order to belong to the Galactic Federation.
Yeah.
It's as simple as I can put it.
Yeah.
So, you know, and look at the prescribed facade of conflict. There's no conflict. We in the United States, we defeated everybody. We have no more enemies.
Yeah.
So what happened? We start cannibalizing ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's just awful. It is just awful. You know, this is now the golden age of peace and prosperity. There's no reason to be at odds with one another.
That's so true.
So, you know, I guess that's part of the passion, but it's more of the ascension process of us raising our consciousness to a level that we are at one. We really are at one in consciousness.
Yeah. And that's, you know, and the key underlying solution to that is love, you know.
Absolutely.
It's the heart, and it's, I just took a vacation with my two sisters I hadn't seen in 5 years. And right off the bat, we were kind of, you know, meowing at each other. And my one sister says, whoa, you know, it's been 5 years. Let's just drop all that crap and get along and have a good time on this trip, you know. And thank goodness she did. And thank goodness my other sister was willing to listen to her, and I did too. And then we had a glorious time. But it really frustrates me when I see that myself, and I say, come on, Vicki, you know, the only way we're all going to have peace on this planet is learn to love each other and have empathy for one another and understand that, you know, we can't be doing what we're doing to each other.
Exactly, yeah. And that it really starts with self-inspection,
Right.
really looking at your internal dialogue.
Right.
How is it convoluting you? How is it making you miserable? Nobody else is doing it. You're doing it to yourself.
To yourself.
Yeah,
know.
and so all of these are inner journeys that there are a lot of people in the midst of that.
See your little loopy thing there? It's got a wasp on it, so just be careful.
Oh, okay.
He's fine. He's not doing anything.
Yeah.
There he
So,
goes. Okay.
yeah, this is Roger Ray of the Native UFO and Vicki, and we're just having a frank discussion about aliens and what's coming. What you're looking at is a volcanic plug, and in some of my live videos, I've shown craft go right into that plug, just disappear. And you were here.
Yeah.
You were here
And
witnessing
I was here one night, and I was thinking to myself, well, that one that's just going straight along the horizon and blinking, that's got to be an airplane. Then it does this incredible U-turn that no airplane could do. And
Right.
I'm going, oh my goodness, look at that. Right back to that peak. Yeah. It was crazy.
Can you share with us one of your stories from people that you know here, the natives, about, you were mentioning that up on that peak over there is Bigfoot dwellings. Can you talk about that?
Well, not on the peak. Now, I do know that the natives had gone to that peak, and then they have special trails, and they have very crude but effective ladders that they know where they're hidden.
Oh, really?
To get over the cliffs
to get
and
over
stuff, to get up on top there. And they have sweat lodges up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so for special ceremony, they can do that. But the big, we have a friend who's he's more of an acquaintance, a friend of a friend, but he communicates with the Bigfoot around here all the time, and he knows where some of their kind of they're very crude lean-to type nests type things,
Right.
and he's able at the base of this
Peak.
peak.
Or volcanic plug.
Right, that he says is where they, gather at night and sleep and that sort of thing. But I believe, as I think a lot of people do, that they're interdimensional beings, that they appear and disappear at will,
Right, right. Well, it was Melba Ketchum, a DNA researcher from Texas, who actually got a flesh sample of Bigfoot not too far from here, from the what's that river, from the San Juan. And so she claims not claims, but in her research showed that the mitochondrial DNA, which is from mom, is human.
Oh, wow.
And the nuclear DNA is not.
Yeah.
It's something completely different.
Wow.
So,
That's cool.
Which tends to make the point that she believes Bigfoot was created in a laboratory. And has been here for thousands of years. So,
Now I have a whole different take on that. I know a person who did a past life regression.
Okay.
And actually saw himself as a Bigfoot, covered
Right.
in black curly hair. He said, and, in a hypnotic regression like that, they ask you to describe your clothing and the color of your skin and stuff like that. And he's going, "Oh my God, I don't have any clothes. I just have black curly hair all over me." But he was in a cave with what he called little people. But of course, if you're a Bigfoot, everybody's a little people,
Right.
And he was protecting them, and they were celebrating. They were rejoicing that some threat that he had saved them from had passed. And then, as soon as he knew they were okay and safe, boom, he was in a different dimension.
Wow.
With other Bigfoot people, beings.
Right.
And they were just conversing, and and he said other big people, I don't know how to say big feet, would pop into this dimension, and others would pop out when they were called out on a mission somewhere. And so that's his perspective of where they come from, why we can't catch them, unless maybe one sacrifices itself to be examined or whatever.
Right. Well, another friend of mine who worked in the deep underground facilities, he was not there himself during a Bigfoot autopsy.
Oh, wow.
But what he was saying to me is that when they're injured, they can't dematerialize. They can't go through portals.
Yeah.
And that's when they're vulnerable.
Oh, wow.
So, that's just a long lineage of an extraterrestrial. It's not Gigantopithecus or some kind of ape-like lineage. No, this is. Then it brings to mind, if you wanted to create a being to explore other planets, because supposedly Bigfoot is a botanist.
Oh,
so initially he came here to gather information about the plant life here on the planet, and then he has been seen in certain reports of going on UFOs. They've seen him go on the UFOs himself.
There's a good book about that called The Psychic Sasquatch.
Psychic Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's, many reports of people who've had interactions with them psychically, and then, that they do come and go. When you see one, the Bigfoot, you probably will see a UFO at the same time.
Exactly, yeah. And that's why this particular area where we're at, we already have video of a number. What comes to mind? I was just watching when we first came, and we were doing healing sessions at your house.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I think it was in July, and we came out, and it was right before sundown. And remember all the ships that showed up blinking, blinking.
Yeah.
And there's no way they could be stars because it was still during the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they
I
were just
remember that.
they were saying hi.
Yeah. It was amazing. And I just loved it. I'm going, oh my goodness.
Right.
Because I'm a stargazer from way back, but I just never had seen that before.
Right. In fact, I'm going to pan a little bit to the left of the volcanic plug. Right in these divots is where we've seen craft go into the ground. And I believe, my speculation is that although these are solid objects here on the surface, not objects, I'm sorry, but obviously there's no tunnels. But once they go to a certain depth, then there is vast underground tunnels that they can establish themselves in.
Right. And isn't it interesting that the local natives say their ancestry came out of the ground?
Out of the ground, right? Like the ant people,
right?
And I consider myself now, somewhat of a UFO explorer and interest. I'm in heaven here. I'm positioned right, where the Navajo, the Hopi, the Zuni, the Ute have all been here, and you see their interaction with the star people through the rock art.
Right.
It's just wow. It's just
that is amazing. Yeah.
They're showing aliens on these pictographs that are thousands of years.
Around us.
They're all around us.
Yeah. There's certain, of course, tourist sites where you can see the ancestral homes, but and the Navajo and the other surrounding tribes do not call them ruins; they call them sites, because the spirit of those people that had lived there are still there.
Right.
And so they revere them. Chaco Canyon, Mesa Verde, all of those, but there's so many canyons around here, and almost any of them you go into, you'll see sites of where people had lived, and and so there was a vast civilization here, vast.
Well, there were over 50 million Native Americans in the United States before the settlers came.
Yeah.
And who knows the kinds of interactions they have.
Yeah.
Like, what intrigues me, one of the things that intrigues me about the Navajo culture, and also, Zuni, whatever, is that their art demonstrates the quantum physics of the universe that has just been passed down in an oral tradition.
Yeah.
So this idea of intersecting triangles, I've proposed theories that they're really depicting the creation mathematically of black holes. And that work was actually done by Nassim Haramein, explaining the mathematics of the Merkaba.
Yeah.
How the Merkaba itself, which is intersecting triangles, you see that lineage in Native American art. You see so there are possibly oral remnants of their communication with the star people. And look at their indulgence with crystals.
Yes.
And the protection that crystals provide.
Yeah.
And that's all through Native American art.
Right.
So that's why early on I said, and me being Native as well, what's the possibility of the Native peoples actually establishing, they already established contact with the star people.
Yeah.
But I mean, just in a more outward way. And so that's where I've ended up, is just focusing on identifying craft on Native American reservations, because I think they have a long history of contact, and their belief systems and their practices show remnants of an oral tradition and contact with aliens. So it seems very logical.
So this friend of mine who's knows the trail up to the base of this peak, he was being driven up into that area to go visit his grandmother at one time, and he says, "Mom, look, there's a Ferris wheel, and there's tents, and there's other rides, and there's people, having a fiesta, a ceremony." He thought it was a ceremony because he was so young, and his mom looked at him and said, "You weren't born when I came to that traveling fair that was here."
Uh-huh.
And he saw it all just as clear as day.
Wow.
As if it were happening right then.
Right at that point, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this is another Corey Good story, and I think it kind of relates to what we're talking about, the native integration with UFOs. So this I don't remember exactly, maybe 2018 or 19 when he was on Gaia talking a lot about the SSP. And anyway, so he had been describing, which I believe we're going through, is around the galactic wheel there was another solar system that was in front of us, and in a kind of visualization you can imagine us traveling around this disk. And so anyway, this solar system that the SSP found and was interrogating, because it was going to reach a place where the galactic wave energies were intersecting it, and we're in the same position as they were.
Oh, I see.
That crossing of being directly and being affected by galactic energy waves that then interact with our sun, that then creates solar flares and vibrations that way. Anyway, he said that there was an Earth-like planet in that solar system that they had found and were perusing. And what ended up happening in their evolution was that after the cataclysms that happened with the solar flares on their planet and the ascension rising and all of that, that it was their indigenous people that came and rose up to bring peace to the planet.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I don't know, I see that maybe kind of shaping here.
Oh, I hope that's true.
Where the native peoples, the meek shall inherit the earth.
Right.
Will come into play. So that's kind of, I keep those storylines in mind in the work that I'm trying to do, and respectfully and gracefully trying to bring to light, and it's already been well documented, but the native experiences with ET.
Oh yeah, yep, lots of them. Which makes me wonder about Kokopelli. Do you know anything about?
No, please expound.
Back from? Oh, Kokopelli was not native. He was a black person.
Really?
Yeah, and he had a hump on his back that created the bent over look, and he was a flute player.
Okay.
And I've heard many different stories of, origins of him, that he's always been around, or he came with the Spanish, or he was, just a being that was, shows up. But he was also a kind of a fertility god.
Right, yeah.
And so if he came into a village, they celebrated him because there were certain women in the village who were infertile, and if he sang for him or played the flute for him or maybe did other things for them, that they were able to be fertile. Yeah, that's all I know about it, but I thought, well, that kind of fits with the Bigfoot idea as
Bigfoot idea, but do you think he was extraterrestrial?
Could have been, yeah.
Yeah, because you see Kokopelli with the flute on a lot of different symbols and things like that.
All over the place.
Right.
So. just an idea. I took a story from here and a story from there and came up with my own story. So I don't know. But I met a gentleman who was obviously a native, and this was over in Colorado. And so I asked him, what tribe are you from? And he said, I'm Shoshone from Idaho. And I went, so am I.
Mm.
Of course, I look very Belagun. I look very white because that's my majority of my DNA. And he says, well, do you know where Marsh Valley is? And I said, my mom went to Marsh Valley High School. And he goes, well, do you know where Aramo is? And I said, they lived in Aramo while my mom went to Marsh Valley High. And he goes, well, Aramo is my grandfather's name, and he was the chief of the Shoshone in that area at the time when that town was established. So that was, anyway, he is very much into Bigfoot because where his family had their traditional land, he was, they have many stories about Bigfoot looking at them through their windows or scratching on their windows or, banging on the trunks of trees out around their house or whatever. So that's that's just natural for him.
Right.
Again,
right.
another native from another area who just, Bigfoot, of course, no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. Yeah,
and they believed in them as benevolent friends who would help out in the time if something like a child would get lost and show up the next day, and they say, well, how'd you get home? And the child will say, well, this great big hairy man picked me up and brought me home.
Yeah, well, in the few encounters I have had with Bigfoot, that's really what I found myself just going to, is just being in a state of love.
Yeah.
Because they respond to that.
Yeah.
They respond to that level of kindness and acceptance. And that's where we're at. Are we going to choose to be in love with each other, or are we going to just continually, like children, find ways and differences to isolate us from each other?
Yeah.
So we're really at that precipice.
Yeah.
And
it's really a parting of the ways, I think.
It's a parting of the ways, and because now we are supposedly being bombarded by this galactic wave that's then going to cause solar flares, and so we're right at the doorstep. Right at the doorstep, and it's exciting for people that what I consider star seeds, that they kind of known that this was coming, and have tried to make preparations in how they eat and how they conduct themselves, and how they shape their perspective and practice love.
Yes.
Practice forgiveness.
Exactly.
And so that's where we're at. If you're not there, it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be really difficult.
Your perspective of what's happening will seem so traumatic, whereas for others, for those with the love, they'll be able to see it from both sides and say, come on, guys, be ambassadors of love to both sides.
Well, yeah, and that's essentially what Jesus' message was about.
Exactly. I totally believe that.
Love your enemy.
Yeah.
He
turn the other cheek.
He was consciously preparing us so that we create an inner dialogue of love, not confusion, not bitterness, not judgment, but just being at peace. Being at peace.
Yep.
So, I think we're gonna call it. Thank you so much, Vicki.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for the soup.
You're welcome.
You're a dear friend, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. But I just wanted to give you a view of this area during the day, and we believe on that ridgeline is entrances to an underground alien base. So I'll be here. I'll be here most of the day and tonight to do a live, and I hope to see you then. Yeah, the war of good and evil. So all your highlights and all your comments, please. I'm recording, and I will answer you.
There's a job.
So yeah, I encourage a dialogue between myself and my partner Tina K with you guys, you know, through these platforms. All right. Well, thanks again. I'll see you soon. Maybe I'll do another impromptu live when I start walking around the lake, and maybe if I find a track or something interesting, I'll call in. All right.
Yeah, I've seen one. I saw a Bigfoot track in the snow here. Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Did you take a picture?
Yes. I have a picture. I'll
well,
send it to you.
Send it to
I'm
me.
sorry. I just thought that was everyday stuff.
No. All right, guys. I'm gonna end the broadcast. Take care.
Bye. Melinda was with me that day, and she goes, "Oh my God, Vic."